Do you want to like clap to like sync things? Because I don't know if we need to do that over Discord. It's
I
like a.
can try.
It's
Let's
like a.
see.
It's like a.
Crap. Okay. Hopefully my mic
Okay.
picks up. My mic's kind of weird, but we'll see.
Honestly, yeah, I just realized I had noise suppression on. I don't know why I did that. But hi, Riley Page.
Hi.
Oh
Hello.
my
Hello.
God, dude, it's nice. It's nice to meet you.
It is so nice to meet you. I'm shaking your hand right now through the
I'm
screen.
also shaking your hand right now. All right, I got a couple of questions regarding you being a content creator during the pandemic.
Yes.
So we're gonna get the introduction one to start off with, just for like, so I can like interlace all of them together on screen. Who are you, and what's your current sub/follower count?
So I'm Riley Page. My main platform is Twitch, and I recently hit 1.1K over there.
Right. When did you start content creation? Do you have like a specific date that you remember, or?
I actually hit I guess my 3-year content creation anniversary was yesterday. So
Oh,
March
really?
10th, 2021 was the day that I like made like my Twitter account and started putting my quote unquote brand together.
Do you think that the pandemic kind of gave you the platform or opportunity to finally succeed in content creation?
I I would say that I definitely wouldn't be in content creation without the pandemic because I was inspired by a lot of people who also started content creation during the pandemic and like early 2020, late 2020. So I definitely wouldn't be where I am, but I would say most of my success has actually probably come more recently than actually during the pandemic. But I know a lot of people did see a lot of success throughout the pandemic just because we all were kind of, stuck in our homes and it was very easy to just kind of pull up Twitch, watch someone have that little experience with them for a few hours. But for me personally, I did see success, but most of my success I think was after, or I mean, I guess we're still kind of in the pandemic, but I would say post pandemic sort of.
Post lockdown. Post lockdown.
Yeah, post lockdown. That's yeah.
Okay, so during the lockdown and slash pandemic, what about it? What about content creation really stuck out to you? What made it so fun to you and fresh in comparison to everything happening outside your window?
I think that just the lack of social interaction kind of really boosted like Twitch streaming because when you're streaming, I feel like it's a very immersive experience and you're in a way sort of getting that social interaction, especially if maybe I mean, streamers and chatters, you're getting that social interaction time, it's live, and it is in a way similar to, I guess, IRL interaction that a lot of people were missing at the time. And I think that's kind of why live streaming did so well during this time.
Do you think being a content creator during this massive lockdown and global health crisis was like healthy for you physically and or mentally?
For me, I do think it was. The pandemic did, there's just like most people, it took a pretty big toll on us mentally, I think, just kind of being away from our typical environments. For me, I struggle with a lot of anxiety, so at first, when the pandemic started, I was actually, it sounds awful, but I was kind of ecstatic because I was like, oh my God, yay, 2 weeks off school, whatever. But as the pandemic went on, it definitely started to take a toll. And changed my mental a lot. Uh, Wait, what was the question again? I got distracted.
It was about how if you thought that being a content creator during the global health crisis was healthy for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So would I say it was healthy for me? In a way, yes, because I was able to kind of interact with other people through a screen with the streaming and with other content creators and just kind of getting to know people and still have that social aspect because I couldn't get it in person anymore. If that makes sense.
Were you pretty young when you started doing content creation during the lockdown? Do you think that also had no influence on the content you made?
Oh, that's a good question. I started, I believe I was 15, almost. Wait, hold on, hold on. Oh, no, I started when I was 16, almost 17. So, I would say I was pretty young. I was a minor. I think I don't really know how much it, I guess, affected me when it comes to my age. I do think that I was probably definitely younger and more naive and probably didn't take certain safety precautions I should have that I know to take now. But I'm not really sure if that's really an age thing or if that was just more of being a new streamer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, you and I, we've been in this content scene since at least 2021, and many people in our niche who started around our time have since left. Why do you think you're still around? What made you stick around?
I honestly just the passion for it. I think throughout the pandemic, because everything did kind of shut down, a lot of things that happened in real life, jobs, clubs, social activities, everything just kind of shut down. And then since things have opened up, people have gone back to their quote unquote real lives, I guess. They've gone back into school, gone back into jobs, people have gotten busy. Uh, I am busy, don't get me wrong. I go to school, I work, but I'm not, I don't really have that like a social group that really go to necessarily. Like I know a lot of people have their friend groups they hang out with and everything. That's just not me. My friend group mainly consists of being online. So I've been able to hang out with them online, and I feel like or not, maybe not most people, but a lot of people who maybe have quit content creation or have slowed down a lot, they probably do a lot more in their free time than I would. I like to stay at home, so I use my free time to stream and work on content when other people have probably already gone back to their quote unquote normal lives and their, partying or whatever it may be that they do during their free time.
Do you still keep in contact with anyone you met during your early days in 2021 during content creation start?
Honestly, not really. I was actually thinking about this last night. Like I mentioned, I just hit the my 3-year little anniversary, so I was kind of thinking about it last night, and a lot of I was thinking about my old chatters and stuff, like, they just aren't really around anymore. A lot of the friends I made during the time, they are kind of like off the internet, basically. I would say I probably have maybe like one that I met um, in 2021 that I would say I still keep up with. Other than that, everyone else has kind of left the internet, or not left it behind, but left kind of their brand behind, or the content creator that they were, or who they were trying to be behind.
Did any specific creators that blew up during like the early 2020s like inspire you to finally take a crack at content creation?
I would say my biggest inspiration was Weston Corey from Singe and Drowning. I I had been a fan of him for a while, and then I kind of stopped watching him, and then I saw that he gained popularity again through streaming, and I was like, whoa, I used to watch this guy years ago. So, kind of seeing that was like my first introduction to Twitch streaming was whatever he was doing, and I thought that the live experience and the kind of like it was different. It was different because he used to make YouTube content and then he switched over to streaming just like a lot of people did during the pandemic. And I just found it very interesting and intriguing to me, and that's what made me want to start.
Yeah. Um, my friend Loafers helped with this one. Thank you, Leah. When exactly did you get that spark in your mind? When did you say to yourself, "Okay, I do want to be a content creator"?
Ooh. Honestly, I've always kind of had the idea in the back of my mind since I was very young. I started like watching YouTube content creators very young in like elementary school, I remember watching like Markiplier in like fourth grade and just loving his content and being like, hey, I'd love to do that someday. But I mean, I never really had the resources or the confidence or anything to pursue it until like late 2020, early 2021 was probably when the gears really started shifting and I decided that I wanted to give it a shot for real.
If you didn't have the influences you talked about a couple minutes ago, would you still have jumped into content creation? Would this have been something you still wanted to do?
Probably not, honestly. I think that my influences and who I watched really did influence me as a person and wanting to do content creation. Uh, I because yeah, a lot of my inspiration has kind of come from others, especially when I first started. Now I would say I am kind of more creative, but in the beginning I definitely kind of bounced off of other people's ideas.
Yeah. Is that passion for content creation that sparked during the lockdown still there for you, or is it just kind of?
I would say it's definitely still there. If not more than ever now, really. I think I took a pretty long break, like an 8 month break. Um Maybe like around early 2020. So I kind of like streamed and did content for a year and then took that 8 month break. And then ever since I've been back, I think it like my spark for content and the success I've been getting recently has really pushed me more than it did during the pandemic.
Um, did content creation ever feel like a job to you during like that little like first burst in 2021?
Not at all, actually. It was definitely more of a hobby thing and just I think I used it as a distraction as well, just because like I said, and a lot of us we kind of took a mental toll when the pandemic started and everything. And I think I kind of used content creation as a bit of a distraction and gaming in general as a distraction. Um, and I didn't really honestly see any success in it when I first started. It was definitely more of just um, for me, just doing something with my time, really.
If we like time travel back to 2020 and everything
Mm.
was like the exact same lockdown and all, would you have still gone for consecration again if you knew like everything you know now?
I 100% I think I would have. Now that I'm kind of more educated on um, streaming as a whole, content as a whole, and I guess, the best ways to be successful, your what to do's, what not to do's. Now that I know a lot more than I did, I, and considering how people were growing during this time in early 2020, I definitely, yeah, I would go back and I would do things differently for sure.
Obviously, since 2020 and 2021, you've grown up, you've aged, we've all done that. Like, how do you feel about yourself as a content creator now as compared to when you first started?
Um, hmm. I I don't know. I mean, when I look at kind of, who I was now, who I am now versus who I guess I was, the person or the girl who first started content during the pandemic was definitely, I would say, less, I guess maybe stressed out about the content, if that makes sense. Like now, like just starting out, like I said, I never really had the idea of turning it into a job or going full time with it really. It was more of just a hobby, but now it is something that I do truly want to go full time in. So now I'm focusing on it a lot more. There's more stress involved. It feels more like a job and an income source. And I am still having fun with it, of course. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't, but it it definitely isn't the same as it was. It was kind of more for fun, and back then the numbers didn't really matter. Now I do kind of, stress a little bit about the numbers and the analytics. So, yeah.
I got a couple questions about you as a person during the pandemic itself. What were those first few
Mhm.
days of lockdown like? Well, how did they feel to you?
It was very strange. Like I mentioned, at first, because I have anxiety and school. Let's see. Yeah, it was my sophomore year when it happened, and my anxiety was just kind of getting worse and worse. So, kind of hearing at first, like, oh, 2 weeks off school and then a month off school, whatever, that was like kind of an anxiety reducer for me, and it was very nice. But as the months went on, um, it, yeah, um, I don't really know how to describe it. Yeah, I'm trying to find the right words. Um, it was, I guess, the lack of kind of social interaction did take a toll on me. And in a way, it was a bit, it just may sound selfish, but it was a bit relieving just because I struggled with social anxiety. But at the same time, as humans, we kind of need that, right? So
Exactly.
that, yeah, so it took a toll on me a bit.
How did the pandemic especially affect like you, not just you as a content creator, you as a person?
I would say it definitely actually kind of made me a bit more sheltered. So I used to be, pre-pandemic, I went to school, for what, like 7 hours a day. And then I was an athlete as well. So I had practice right after school for 3 hours. And that whole time I was just surrounded by people. So going from being surrounded by people for 10 plus hours a day to pretty much just being isolated with like the people in my household, it kind of made me more sheltered, and I feel like I really adapted and got kind of almost too comfortable with the fact that I didn't need to, go out, and I kind of could use the pandemic almost as an excuse for my anxieties and just not going out. And I think it made me kind of a bit more sheltered as a person, unfortunately. But recently, in the past year or so, I've really broken out of that shell. But for a while, I was very much a homebody, and I kind of, I guess, yeah, I just kind of got way too comfortable with the lifestyle that the pandemic gave us.
All right, and my last like major big question that I have to ask you is if we
Hmm.
slipped into another pandemic, do you think we'd have a refresh of what happened in 2020 and 2021? Do you think that another lockdown would like push the give a new generation of people the same platform that we got in 2021?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it would, but I feel like it would maybe be a little bit different. I feel like maybe I don't really know exactly how different it would be, but I feel like live streaming wouldn't really be what pops off like it did. I think, especially, it's hard to say. I know, like, throughout when the pandemic first started, there was a big rise in like Minecraft. Minecraft was kind of like the big thing, and now that's kind of like died off a little bit. I feel like we're kind of at a standstill with Minecraft. Everyone's just kind of waiting for the new update, and there aren't a lot of big game updates happening right now. I mean, except like Fortnite or something. So I feel like the gaming scene isn't really what it was. So I think if we were to kind of slip back into a pandemic sheltered lifestyle, things would probably focus more on like probably short form content. Really, I feel like that's been doing well. Maybe like YouTube Shorts or TikToks, maybe even TikTok live streams. But I feel like it would focus a lot less on gaming than it did back then.
This has been wonderful. Thank you for your time, Riley.
Oh, thank you. This was very cool getting my gears like shifting. It was
It,
cool.
if you'd like to self promote, I'm probably just gonna dump all the interviews somewhere on YouTube. So if you're more than
Mhm.
welcome to.
Well, like I mentioned, my main platform is Twitch, Riley Page, but the L is a one. You can find me pretty much like on any social platform there as well. But yeah, that's me. Thank you so much. This is
Thank you
awesome.
for joining me. I really appreciated having your POV.
Of
Keep
course,
safe.
of course. Anytime.